Welcome to Through the Pages. Boy, do I have a book for you today. Give People Money by Annie Lowrey. This is a book about universal basic income, and it's not just focused domestically, which I think helps to give the book such gravity. It really gets into this concept being used internationally, both in broad scale or targeted, like certain cities in Canada. It really laid it out in a way that makes it difficult to refute, and I want to put this book into a few people's hands. But if you've talked politics with me at any length, at some point probably mentioned this concept, just because it tethers to so many things and could alleviate so much pressure in our society. One of the main aspects of that I hadn't understood prior to this book was the amount of government agencies it would eliminate. When you think about SNAP benefits, Section 8, various programs that if you really look into it, you can find a credit. You might even have to do a tax credit at the end of the year and file differently. Like, all that shit, $1,000 a month. No questions. No, you got to use it on these brands of food. But if you come back, you gotta show you're clean. You got to show up with an ID. You got to just give them the money, stop all the bureaucracy, the red tape, and it proved the point of these people aren't just going to go spend it on booze and cigarettes. It showed societies that have far less, societies that had just as much potential for abuse, and most people just want to take themselves forward. They want to level their family up a bit. And this, it really laid it out in a way that it didn't seem like she was very in your face, I'm right. She's just saying, we actually have a lot of data on this. So let's look at it. And that was such a seasoned voice for this topic. And this was actually written in 2018, or published in 2018. So the main person people now think of with UBI is Andrew Yang. This was prior to that, which I liked because it took a little bit of the modern election rhetoric out of it in some ways. It was still cognizant of the Trump administration, so it didn't feel so like blind in that way. Sometimes you read books about politics that ended in 2016 and they're like, and I think things are getting better, and it's like, oh boy, you don't know. So it was modern enough, but also wasn't just like, in 2020 right now, what do we need to do? Like, it was pre-pandemic, and so, I don't know, it was a very level-headed look at this program internationally. It really highlighted some of the aspects of poverty that sort of get lost in translation when we think of it as such a localized issue, that you think like, that neighborhood has poverty, we don't. That is an issue that affects them. There's a high cost for poverty. Low wages have a high cost. Lack of jobs has a high cost. And we're heading deeper into all that through automation and just through not needing a 40-hour work week anymore. You shouldn't have to work 40 hours to stay above the poverty line. The amount of people we have, the amount of ingenuity and technology we have, that's going to dissipate. But we need to be supported, but at the same time, we don't want to lose our own purpose. And she talks about the latent benefits of employment in general, and it's, having some sort of time scale, a little bit of rhythm to your day or your week, and that bit of social interaction. And there are benefits where someone becomes unemployed, that when those are lost, it's a deeper depression. And it's not to say that everyone wants to be working a ton, but there are people who want to get out of the system, and that's their prerogative. I don't think, and based on the data, there's not an enormous percentage of people that are that way. That would be like, oh, UBI $1,000 a month, I'll scrape by on that and never do a thing. Like, no. I don't think most people would be that way. It's going to take a lot of pressure off. They're going to live a life with happiness they hadn't known before. They might go to college. They might, one parent might stay home and raise their kid. It's going to be beneficial to societies and families because they'll really dig into their own lives and be able to live them fully or more fully. So this fear that it's going to be taken advantage of, look at our tax system. Look at anything. I mean, like, we know, and Social Security is going to run out. Like, I'm paying into it, I'll never see it. This would supersede Social Security. $1,000 a month, done. It's not based on how much you worked. It's not, it's not, if you had a super nice job, now you're getting a ton, like, just equalize it. And it really made a very complex issue simple without dulling it down or spoon feeding it. It just had such a breadth of data that it made it seem like, oh, well, yeah, of course this is it. Now, okay, yeah, that actually totally all makes sense. I went into it, I look into these books looking for some, like, contradiction. Like, where am I wrong? Like, what have I missed? And she did a good job, but she kind of, like, would let arguments go, and you'd say, like, well, then they're going to do that. And she'd, like, kind of play that out a bit. Ultimately, it would end with, and that's why UBI works. But it would flesh out all of those suspicions or those, yeah, but what about this? She had all those, and it was so well done. It reminded me of The End of Policing by Alex Vitale, where the whole concept was kind of broken down into bits and pieces, and it kind of played the devil's advocate side of the reformer, rather than the abolitionist. And it really lets you, like, you know, what if we didn't completely abolish? In this instance, related to mental health, what if we changed and we added training and we spent, okay, and in 2014 we tried that. Other places tried it in 2016, it didn't work. And it was really good to let you feel out all of those suspicions. And this did a good job of that as well, that it really allowed not any sort of stone unturned, I would say. Like, I don't feel like she sidestepped anything. She took all of the harder questions head on. It's just like in our local elections here. For any Peoria people, like, 90% of our property taxes are going to fire and police pensions. And it's just draining our city, and people are fleeing because of the property taxes. And so there's candidates who I really like, but I sometimes, when these questions come, it's like, oh, I hear them talking about the things that I like. I don't know what they say on those tough issues, but I've watched some of the forums lately in Shamus, St. Louis, and others have crushed those answers, and it's so satisfying to know, like, all right, on the tough stuff, I've really looked. I didn't shy away from the hardest bits, like, and she didn't either. She went head first into them, came out the other side. UBI makes total sense. Money pun not intended. So, in terms of it being a more modern book, she does, kind of dig into the gig economy type thing, and has a good perspective on the independent contractors scenario, that she says it's more of dependent contractors. And there was a joke on Bill Maher the other night. It said the only thing remote about your work is your chance of getting health insurance. And it really does seem like if your employer doesn't have to sit in a room with you, look you in the eye, and decide what type of benefits you get. You're just far away. You're a person on a screen I see on Zoom maybe once a month. Nope. You're not really part of us. So employers are getting away from supporting their employees like they never have before. It's never been good. $7.25 federal minimum wage has been stagnant. People in 1967 were, after inflation's factored in, earning 8% more than us. That's not how it should be going. We've been doing good. It's supposed to be leaving it better for the next generation, but it's just all trickling up to the top. And so it's going to come to a head, what she refers to as that people now call late stage capitalism. Like, I do think it's coming, that it's coming to an end. It should come to an end. I think it would potentially just get worse and worse, but UBI would be a way to help mass amount of people. And oddly enough, many of the villainized billionaires in our society support it, because they have a better sense of where automation's going, and they just know there's no way we can eliminate millions of jobs and not put some type of padding to counter that. It's already very difficult to find a full-time job with benefits, and we have more people needing those than jobs available. We have a lot of underemployed people who are working part-times, And that's just going to get worse and worse. This was pre-pandemic, as I mentioned. Can't fathom the argument now. Like it's pretty common sense. So this, I hope to find more books on UBI to see if it kind of covers different terrain, or maybe one that is now post-pandemic. But this is one that kind of came up a couple times in lists, book you should read and that sort of thing. Looked into her, and I liked that she wasn't super social media-y. Like it wasn't about hitting a popular topic. She's just a good writer, writes for The Atlantic and a bunch of other publications. And so yeah, Annie Lowrey, give people money, give her a chance. Check it out. If you're into the subject, get some understanding on it. There's a lot of things I'm passionate about where if you only see them on social media and stuff, you just don't have that depth, where this allows you to really talk. You got that family member who's not into UBI, give yourself some study on it. If you're opposed to UBI, hey, check out this book. It's really good. So thank you for tuning in. If you made it this long, I would really appreciate you do a little thumbs up, hit the like, maybe subscribe. That stuff means a lot. I got one more review. I'm banging out 3 videos today. Thank you very much for tuning in to all these.